Let's go to Friday. There's only 3 games on, so it is an important streaming day in the NBA. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and clear alcohol is for rich women on diets. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel is there for the NFL playoffs. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Also, check out LockedOnDaily.com and find the best newsletter for your favorite team. All the info that you need to know for your favorite team, even if it is the Toronto Raptors. Go ahead to LockedOnDaily.com, and to be honest, the Raptors newsletter are one of the best ones going out there, so check it out, because you don't have much to cheer for with the team, but you can at least get some good writing and good information from Sean and all the guys over there. All right, thumbs up, bang, comment. It is National Beer Can Appreciation Day. So for the beer can in your life, show some appreciation. As we look ahead to Friday's games, it's a very weird and topsy-turvy week with only 3 games on Friday. A lot of busy days coming up as well. So streaming becomes, needs to be more intentional, we need to pay attention to what's actually going on. So it's intentional with attention. What's on my radar for these 3 games? And the reason that I say it's intentional is that over the next 6 days, of NBA action, starting Friday, there are teams that have 0 quality game days. 0. So there is a chunk of teams, and we'll talk chunks later on, but there is a big selection of teams that if you add someone to be a streamer who's like, they're sort of okay, would I start them or not? You may play them 0 times in the next 6 days, because we've got 14 games Saturday, we've got 12 games Monday, there's 11 games Wednesday. So it's one of those periods of action across the league where there's just a bunch of situations where it just isn't going to work out. So like the Nets, the Celtics, the Bulls, the Mavericks, the Nuggets, the Pistons, they've got 3 games over the next 6 days, and none of them on streamable days. There is a large, at least half of the league plays 0 quality games over the next 6 days. So being intentional about which players you add, because it's all well and good to add someone, and if you don't use them, what's the point? Now, some guys that you add, let's use Khalil Ware as an example, you would add him and you would play him, even on the high volume days with the value that he's providing. But say it's a Luke Kennard. Bad example because the Grizzlies play Friday. But somebody from the Bulls, maybe it's Ayo Dosunmu, maybe it's Lonzo Ball. Would you even use them at all? Get 0 games out of them. It's a waste. So be careful with what you do. Be careful with how you add them. Now, in my, brain fog to get this out, I forgot to change the date at the top of this preview thing. So it says January the 22nd. It's not. It's for January the 24th. My bad on that. It is the Blazers and the Hornets. The only team coming into Friday's games on a back-to-back is Portland, and then every other team plays the back-to-back Friday, Saturday. So again, it's a weird period of the schedule. So every team that plays on Friday, all 6 teams, these games are part of a back-to-back. Portland's is Thursday into Friday, and everyone else is Friday into Saturday. Or actually, no. You know what? Oh, no, that is true. My bad. That is true. Every team coming in has that issue in terms of where you sit and who can be in and out and potential rests and all that sort of stuff. So it is a very weird day. First game, Portland and Charlotte. Now, Portland is the best team for streaming. Over the next 6 days, they've got a schedule plus position. They play 3 quality games. Nobody else does. Nobody's got it. It is only them who has that level of schedule advantage with 3 quality games on. The only other team that's even got more than 1 is Philadelphia with 2. So we need to make sure we're nailing down what we do with Portland. Klingon's going to be out. Thibel's going to be out. The problem here is that there's just so many question marks. I'm going to label Robbie Williams, the Rock DJ, as doubtful because I think he's going to play on Thursday. That means he won't play Friday almost certainly. DeAndre Ayton hurt his calf at the end of their previous game. He's currently questionable on Thursday. I thought there was no chance he would play. Now, I still don't think he plays Thursday, but he plays Friday. But they're going to have these nonsense injury things. And someone's called me out on it, which is good. I appreciate this. When I said I think Anthony Simons is dealing with fake injuries. Because I said, no, you actually saw him hurt his elbow, then he copped a fall and hurt his back, and that's fair enough, right? That's okay. I do apologize for that. Like, he did hurt his back, and I missed that part of it. But I also do think that there is a level of exaggeration on some of these injuries and him being in or out. So I take that criticism on board that I said that it was fake because he did hurt his back, so that's my apologies on that. But I think they are going to milk things all the way through here. Toumani Camara is dealing with an illness. Anthony Simons is questionable. Jeremy Grant, he's not on the injury report. I'll put him as questionable. It is a back-to-back, and we know that they have been, and this is against a bad team, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Camara, with Simons, with Grant, with Ayton, with Williams. I think there is a distinct possibility. I think Camara might play, but I think there's a distinct possibility that Simons, Grant, Ayton, Williams are all out in this game. Don't know that, but I think we're going to get weird stuff. On the Charlotte side, just Brandon Miller and Trey Mann. Now, it is the first of a back-to-back, so maybe Mark Williams sits this one and then plays the game on Saturday. That's possible too. Is there any rest for LaMelo Ball? Don't know. Don't think so. He's played the back-to-backs recently, but it is possible. So just be aware of that. Be aware. I do want to see Mark Williams because obviously he's been ridiculous. They're pumping usage into him. His production is way up. He's like looking like a top 25 player at the moment. If someone wanted to give me a reliable top 25 player in a trade, immediately I would do it. That is what I would do as a sell high for Mark Williams. Otherwise, I just enjoy what I'm getting. Getting a top 60 guy back is not a sell high for Mark Williams. Getting a top 50 guy back is not a sell high. Getting a top 30 guy back probably is, even though Williams can easily be that player. But there's more uncertainty there. In terms of streams, I'll put Jabari Walker on this list just for this reason. I don't know about the status of Ayton, of Williams, of Camara, of Simons, of Grant. Chris Murray also dealing with injuries as well. Scoot just needs to be rostered irrespective of this. But Jabari Walker, there is an outside chance that he is the starting center, or it's Dwop Reith, because Klingon, Ayton, and Williams could all sit. They might not, but they could all sit. I think it is actually more likely that Ayton sits Thursday and plays Friday. But we need to watch it. And then the Hornets stream is very clearly Nick Smith. If you can deal with some bad field goal percentage, I think he's worth having now. Now, he's going to be very similar to Noah Clowney, right? Where I think that Smith's value at the moment might be the 160th best player, which is okay. It's not what you want. You want better than that. But there's going to be a lot of inconsistency. But I think as we move along in the season, there'll be situations where other guys get hurt and role increases, consistency and confidence increases with Smith, and he becomes better. So he's not giving you nothing. He's not giving you zeros. It's not like you're out here trying to roster, let's throw Justin Minaya as a name, Portland two-way legend, because there will be a period, April the 10th, April the 2nd, where Justin Minaya plays 40 minutes and is useful for fantasy. That will happen, I'm pretty sure, in April. But if you hold him now, you get nothing, zeros all the way through. So that's a terrible stash idea. But someone like Smith might be the 160th best player. And then you think that maybe it creeps up to 150 and 140 and 130. Then he has a 3-week run as top 75. So it's a stash that is below where you want it, much like Clowney, but you're hoping that it gets a little bit more consistent and higher level later on. That's how I'd be approaching that sort of situation. We've got 2 more games to talk about. We'll come back and do it, of course. But today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The first whistle, the final drive, that's all parts of an NFL playoff game. And FanDuel could be a part of an NFL playoff game for you as well. If you're a new customer and you bet $5, you can get $300 in bonus bets if you win that first bet. That is $300 to have in your account to place bets on these games. Championship weekend coming up here for the NFL. We've got Chiefs, Bills, we've got Eagles, Commanders. You can look at the money line. You can look at the spreads, the totals, the individual team totals, anytime touchdown scorers, passing yard props, receiving yard props. I think you could probably pick the futures as well, like who's going to win the Super Bowl. You could do that, down to 4 teams. Have a look. It's all there, and with that first $5 bet, if you win, you get $300 in bonus bets back. So go to FanDuel.com, join today, get started with $300 in bonus bets. That is FanDuel.com. Make the playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. All right, let's let's head into the second game of the day. It is the Cavs and the 76ers. Like I said, first game of a back-to-back for both of these teams. Cleveland are 10-point favorites here, and the Sixers are the only other Schedule Plus team that's going at the moment. They have 2 quality games over the next 6 days. Now, 2 is not very many, and normally that wouldn't be a real Schedule Plus spot. But when the majority of the league is playing 0, and then some playing 1, when you get 2, it's an advantage. But again, we don't know who's going to play, which is a real problem. For the Cavs, first game of a back-to-back. The last few games, they've had no Caris LeVert, no Isaac Okoro, and no Evan Mobley. And I'm just going to double-check this to make sure that nothing has been updated. Oh, by the way, we just got the update on Brandon Miller out for the season. No shock there. That is what we expected. That has happened. That is, again, there was always a level of uncertainty on Miller. Maybe he's coming back. It never made sense to me that he would come back. Everything pointed towards out for the season. He is out for the season. Nick Smith value rises again. Not because... Nick Smith value doesn't rise. I guess the uncertainty of him losing the starting job lowers. Now we just got to wait for Trey Mann. Miller's done. That was, again, relatively obvious, but wasn't confirmed, and now it is. Got it. All right. Onto this one with the Cavs. And yeah, the value or where Evan Mobley sits. He was dealing with a calf strain, and Okoro with a shoulder, and another wrist issue for Caris LeVert. It is a back-to-back for them. They missed the last couple of games. Their game on Saturday is against the Rockets. Now, the Sixers are ass. Simple. They're just bad. So if you're coming off a calf strain for an important player like Mobley, if they're going to play him in one of them, I believe they play him against Houston. And I think that they feel that they can get the job done against a Sixers team that is terrible at the moment without those players. So I have no official status on them, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to sit this game. Mobley, Okoro, and LeVert. Embiid is out. Caleb Martin is out. KJ Martin is out. Kyle Lowry is out. Andre Drummond is out. Paul George is off the injury report. That's great because it is a back-to-back and George has had groin and ankle and calf and dick and whatever injury soreness he's had. It's been a million things. But we know that he's playing Thursday, Georgie. He will probably sit... Friday. We know he's playing Friday. He might sit on Saturday, but he is playing on Friday. So what we're watching for the Cavs. Let's see, can Donovan Mitchell turn it up a little bit? It's more about efficiency and usage. I want to see where that all sits for Donnie, and it hasn't been good. But I want to see that change. And then on the Sixers, I'm watching Justin Edwards. Not that I think that he's a 12-team league player at this point, but this season is going off the rails quickly. At any point, there could be extended absences for George. It could be for Caleb Martin. They rule him out. Who knows? But Edwards is getting minutes now, and they're prioritizing him a little bit over Ricky Council. And if they keep doing that, it's just a name to keep in our heads. In terms of stream guys, I've got Max Strus on the Cavs side of things because I am expecting LeVert and Okoro to be out. Dean Wade also there. George Niang is also a stream guy. And then on the Sixers, it's obviously Guerschon Yabusele, no Drummond, no Embiid. In deeper leagues, you look at Adem Bona in that area as well because he's going to have to be the backup behind Yabusele. Now, Guerschon can play a lot of minutes and can have 8 points or he can have 20 points. We've seen the fluctuations, but there's no better scenario for him than with Embiid and Drummond both out. So he becomes a really, really strong stream guy in this position. The final game of the day, which is when I realized that I'd put the wrong dates on some of these days, it's January 24th. That is the day we're previewing. It is the Pelicans and it is the Grizzlies. Both teams, again, play the Friday, Saturday back-to-back. Both of these teams are only going to get one quality game, and this is the quality game. This is the only quality game for New Orleans and Memphis in the next 6 days. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The only streamable day for both of these teams is today. Well, not today. It's Friday, the day we're talking about. Injuries. Herb's out. Ingram's out. What we don't know is Zion and Yves Missi. Now, both these guys have been out with illness. We don't have an update for them because their last game on Wednesday got postponed, the game against the Bucks. We don't know when that's going to happen. So we haven't had an updated injury report. They were questionable for that game. It is a back-to-back, and I don't expect that Zion plays in the back-to-back. Now, I don't know which one he plays in, but I don't think he plays the back-to-back. So expect 1 out of 2 here coming for Zion. And then if Missi plays and Zion doesn't, that helps Yves a lot. And DeJounte Murray was probable last time. I feel like he's getting probable tags every game. I'm not that worried about him sitting. Vince Williams is out on the Memphis side of things. I don't expect Marcus Smart to be available, but we don't know. And then Santi Aldama left the last game with illness, and Jake LaRavia missed the last game as well. So I'll put them both as questionable. But obviously, if Smart or Aldama or LaRavia are in or out, they all sort of can play the similar positions, and that can have an impact on each other plus the other guys on the team. On the Pelicans side of things, Yves Missi is a player I want to watch. Now, I don't know if he's going to play, but I'm consistently watching to see what Missi does when Zion is there, because I don't like the fit. I think they limit his playing time when Zion is there, but I'm happy to be proven wrong on that. So far I have not, but I want to see what they continue to do with that combination. And then for the Grizzlies, Jalen Wells keeps starting. I don't think he's going to not start rest of season, but what we need from him is just a little bit more. He's sub 12. He's sub 12 teamer. He's probably 14 to 16 teamer, but there is an ability for him to get to, say, 29 a night and then get more interesting. But the minutes fluctuate for him quite a lot. And if Aldama and LaRavia are both there, what do they do? Does he play 23? Does he play 27? What does he do? That's something to watch. In terms of streams, I've got Javonte Green because I think there's a chance that Zion doesn't play. There's a chance that Missi doesn't play, which would put Daniel Tyson in that mix. But Javonte Green's the guy that gets the boost if Zion's not there. Now, if Zion plays, it's less interesting for Javonte. And then on the Grizzlies, Brandon Clark just gets his 21 minutes. He does little bits and pieces, enough to stream in without getting excited about it, but enough to be a streamable guy in those 21 minutes, while Zach Edey continues to get under 20 minutes a game, and it's very hard to feel any level of excitement about Edey. But with only 6 teams on, like having Edey on your roster for this game is totally okay, because there's nobody else playing. But then, of course, over the next 5 days, there's no streamable days whatsoever, and that becomes relatively useless in terms of providing enough value for you. We're going to come back and look at schedule stuff and streaming. But today's episode is brought to you by Talkspace as well. Yes, therapy. It is a game changer. It helps you manage stress, improve your communication skills, get your sleep back on track, improve your productivity. All of these things therapy can do from a personal level, from a work level, all of that stuff. It's really important. But finding the right therapist is hard. And finding the time in your schedule to fit therapy in is also difficult. And that is where Talkspace comes in. Talkspace is the leading virtual therapy provider, makes getting the help that you need easy, accessible, and affordable. And with Talkspace, signing up is simple. You can match with a licensed therapist who fits your needs, usually within 48 hours. And it's convenient. You can have sessions from the comfort of your home and even message your therapist between appointments. And Talkspace is covered by many insurance plans, and for most insured members, there's a $0 copay. It's never been easier to prioritize mental health. And you guys can get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnNBA and enter the promo code SPACE80. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnNBA and enter the promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month. That is Talkspace.com/LockedOnNBA. The promo code is SPACE80. All right, let's look at streaming options. I'd actually look at some schedule stuff now, because it's been an underlying theme through the show about the way the NBA schedule plays out over this little bit of time now. So let's dig into a little bit more information on it. Like I said, we've got all teams, except for Portland, are playing a Friday, Saturday back-to-back. The Hornets, the Cavs, the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, and the Sixers. All of them play that back-to-back. The problem is, on Saturday, there are 14 games on. So unless you've found some sort of unbelievable option or your team is so banged up, you're not going to be able to use that player on Saturday. But that's something for you to check. I can't check that individually for your league. But have a look. So when you look at these guys, go, oh, they're great ads, they've got a back-to-back, would you even play them on Saturday? Just a quick look at that should let you understand the priority of adding these guys. Now, everyone who plays Friday, there's priority to add them because they play, and nobody else does. But outside of Philadelphia, no one plays a quality game up until next Wednesday. That's a long time to wait to get action in. So, what about chunky stuff? Well, like I said, the only teams who have more than one quality game coming up, Philadelphia and Portland. Portland has 3 quality games over the next 5 days as well, and the Sixers have 2. Now, both these teams have got 1 million guys on the injury report, so it's about finding someone who's available to play. If Tamani Kamara is ruled in, he's a great stream with 3 quality games. Scoot Henderson, sure, absolutely. Rob Williams probably doesn't play all 3. Jabari Walker might play some, but he might not. Rob Williams might play 2 out of 3. I don't know. And then in Philadelphia, like you're looking at Kelly Oubre, make sure he's rostered. You're looking at Justin Edwards, maybe. You're looking at Guerschon Yabusele, because they've got such a quality game advantage over everybody in the league, basically. 5s and 2s, we're back to that. And over the next 7 days, which is Friday, January the 24th, through to Thursday next week, 7 days. You know how we go. We eschew the modern calendar. We look at it from every 7-day period. There's one team that plays 5 games. And that's part also why I think that the Cavs are going to sit some of these guys against Philadelphia as they come back from injury. The Cavs have 5 games in 7 nights. It's a busy period. And there's one thing we know about Cleveland. We know 2 things. They're very good. But secondly, Kenny Atkinson prioritizes health, fatigue, and being ready to go in important parts of the season. We talked about this in the offseason. He will not play his guys big minutes. He literally came out and told us that when he was hired. Hey, I will be using my whole rotation. I will not be playing these guys 36 a night. He told us that, and he is doing that. And the team is unbelievably good. So now they've got 5 games in 7 nights. Expect randomness in rests. Expect lower minutes. Expect caution for the Cavs. There are 3 teams that have 2 games in the next 7 nights. The Pacers and the Spurs still over in France. They've got 1 game to go. They played 1 this morning. And the other team is the Thunder. So while Cason Wallace is looking good, 2 games in 7 nights, is he actually good enough to hold through that? If I'm at the top of the standing, sure, no problem. If I'm battling and I need games in, that might actually cost me. But also remember that we are in a period of time here where there aren't as many streamable days. So while it looks bad to have 2 games in 7 nights, there are teams that you might switch someone out for that have 3 games or 4 games, but you can't actually use them anyway. So that is important. It's never about volume of games is the most important thing. It's a part of it. It's when are the games? Can you use the players on those days? How valuable is that guy moving forward? So while it would make sense to go, well, I drop Cason Wallace and get someone who's got 4 games in, but what if you use that player once and you'd use Cason once? Because the Thunder play on Sunday and nobody else does apart from Portland. So even though it's 2 games total, I'm going to look up actually the quality game list across that time frame because there's, Portland's got 4 quality games. Then there's Philadelphia, Utah, Memphis, the Lakers, the Rockets, the Hawks, and the Cavs who have got 2. And there's a bunch of teams who have 0 quality games. 0. So a 2-game week for the Thunder is not ideal, obviously, but you get to use them on that Sunday. And then there are other teams who, like Phoenix, Sacramento, Dallas, who have 0 quality games. So it's actually beneficial to have a Thunder player. Yep. These are all little bits and pieces to learn, I think. Let's talk streaming for Friday, with there's only the 3 games on. Look, what are the times of those games on Friday? Let's have a look. We've got a 7 p.m. game, 2 7 p.m. games, and an 8 p.m. game. Oh, early finish. There you go. Easy done. So let's look at the streams of the day. It's hard to find very good options, honestly, and things will change a little bit when we hear who's in and out, but I think Guerschon Yabusele is clearly the number 1 guy here. For 12 teams, I've got Brandon Clark. 14 teams, Luke Kennard. And then 16 teams, I've got a Cody Martin. For Yahoo points and for ESPN points, again, we are looking at Guerschon Yabusele. And remember, he's got the 2 quality games, and nobody else has that apart from Portland players. If we look at 10-team streamers, these are all 65% rostered or below, according to Basketball Monster. Yabusele's there. Nick Smith is there. We just talked about Brandon Miller. Brandon Clark, Luke Kennard, Cody Martin, and Jose Alvarado. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Now we go to 12-team streaming, and it gets a little bit thin here. Moussa Diabate is the Hornets' backup. He hasn't really done a huge amount recently, but yeah, we don't have many options. Dean Wade, Javonte Green, who'd bump up if Zion was out. Max Strus, Jalen Wells, Justin Edwards on this list, and then we get deep, and it's not ideal here. Joshie Green and Joshie Okogie. You can get steals from those guys, and not much else, but they get their 23 minutes or 25 minutes in Green's case, and 18 minutes or so in Okogie's case. You got Adem Bona there. Daniel Tice, who would rocket up this list if Messi is out. Milk Jerome, who'd also jump up if Okoro and Levert are out, and he'd probably be almost a 10-team stream, Jerome, honestly, in that spot. And the last one there is Ricky Council, who honestly could play 0 minutes, but he might play 10 or he might play 25. It is very much all over the place. In terms of Yahoo points streaming guys, Yabusele, of course, sits at the top. Then Nick Smith, Jalen Wells, Brandon Clark, Justin Edwards, and Cody Martin. And it's very similar on ESPN points leagues. We've got a Yabusele, Nick Smith, Jalen Wells, Brandon Clark, Luke Kennard, and Cody Martin. And that is a preview of Friday's 3 games across the NBA. What you can do in the meantime while you're thinking about that, you can hit a thumb and a subscribe on this video and follow on the audio side and double bang, of course. And if you're a double banger, be proud in being a double banger. It's one of the best things to do, I think. Well, maybe not. It's probably insignificant, but whatever. I appreciate it, and there you go. I appreciate you doing that. Appreciate yourself, though. Appreciate something that you've done. What is it? Did you make yourself breakfast? Did you, eschew an unhealthy drink? Did you have a clear liquor like a rich woman on a diet? I don't know. There's always a positive somewhere. And if you always look for the negatives, well, you'll never get the positives. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya. Of course, if you live in Canada, there's no positives. It's all negatives. So, suffer.